The story of Ricardo and Natalia begins in a simple, but special place, a coffee shop in the city center where they both met by coincidence. Ricardo, a 32-year-old man, was someone who had put his life on hold for a long time to dedicate himself to his career as a civil engineer. Although he had had sporadic relationships in the past, he had never experienced true love or felt a connection as deep as the one he was going to find with Natalia. At that time, Ricardo did not know that his life was about to change forever. Natalia, on the other hand, was a 28-year-old woman, with a simple appearance, but who exuded a warmth that immediately captured the attention of others. Since she was little, she had struggled to find her place in the world, but finally, she had reached a point where she felt comfortable and at peace with herself. She was a kind, smiling person, always willing to listen to others and to provide her support to those who needed it. This positive attitude and way of looking at life allowed her to build a stable life and a network of friends and family who supported her in everything. The day they met, it was Natalia who took the initiative when she noticed that Ricardo seemed to be going through a difficult time. His face reflected concern and some tiredness, as if he were carrying too heavy a load. Moved by her compassionate nature, she approached him and offered him a kind smile before asking if he was okay. The conversation between the two arose naturally, and they soon realized that they had a lot in common. Both had faced personal challenges, both were passionate about their jobs, and above all, both shared an optimistic view of life. That first meeting was just the beginning of a series of dates that consolidated an increasingly deep relationship. Every time they were together, it seemed as if time stood still. Ricardo felt that with Natalia he could be himself, and he was not afraid to show himself vulnerable or talk about his fears. She, for her part, felt safe and accepted, like she had never felt before. As the months went by, Ricardo realized that he was in love in a way he had never experienced. Natalia had managed to fill a void in his life, and he was convinced that he had finally found his soulmate. Every outing together was a new adventure, from walks in the park to impromptu dinners in small restaurants. They enjoyed each other's company, shared their dreams, their hopes, and little by little they began to talk about their future together. Natalia always expressed her desire to start a family and find stability in her life. For his part, Ricardo, who until then had been reluctant to commit, felt that, for the first time, he was ready to take that step. Ricardo's entourage was delighted with Natalia. His friends commented on how good he looked next to her, how happy and serene he seemed. They also highlighted that Natalia had a positive influence on him, helping him find a balance between his work and personal life, something that had always been a challenge for him. Every time they were together, happiness radiated from them, and it was clear that their relationship was special. For Natalia, Ricardo's family was also an important topic. From the beginning, she was interested in meeting his loved ones, and he was quick to introduce her. Soon, Natalia earned the affection and respect of all of them. She was attentive, caring, and always concerned with making everyone feel comfortable and happy in her company. This was key to Ricardo's family approving and supporting their relationship, encouraging him to take the next step. Ricardo and Natalia's life as a couple seemed straight out of a fairy tale. Everything about them conveyed harmony, and both were certain that they were destined to be together. The relationship progressed with surprising naturalness, and every time they argued or had differences, they always found a way to resolve them with understanding and respect. This type of connection, in which each accepted and valued the other as they were, became the basis of their love. As time went by, Ricardo couldn't help but think about the future. He began to plan what his life would be like with Natalia and how they could share a life together, facing the challenges and enjoying the moments of happiness. The idea of marrying her became a constant desire, and he knew that step was getting closer. He was determined to propose to her and spend the rest of his life with her, convinced that Natalia was the person who gave meaning to his life. After a year of dating, and after many unforgettable moments shared, Ricardo decided that the time was right to take the big step. With the help of some friends, he organized a surprise marriage proposal in a special place for both of them, a mountain lookout point, where they used to go to see the stars. That night was magical, and when Ricardo got down on one knee to ask the big question, Natalia couldn't hold back her tears of happiness. Without hesitation, she accepted, and they both hugged each other, knowing that the future they had dreamed of so much was about to begin. The news of their engagement was received with joy by their family and friends. They were all excited about the wedding and the new chapter they were both about to embark on. Ricardo and Natalia began the preparations for their wedding, full of hope and with the certainty that they were doing the right thing. The happiness of both was evident, and anyone who saw them together could perceive the unique connection that united them. For Ricardo, Natalia was the perfect person. He had found in her everything he had ever wanted in a partner: love, understanding, support, and a connection that seemed to go beyond the earthly. At no time did he suspect that his beloved could be hiding something important from him about her life. The trust and love he felt for her were so strong that it never occurred to him that there was a secret between them. The first part of their story together was full of joy and hope. Ricardo and Natalia seemed destined to be together and start a family, thus fulfilling all their dreams. The engagement was only the first step towards a life together, and both were eager to begin that journey. The days leading up to the wedding were full of excitement and preparations. Although as with any wedding there were moments of stress, both knew that, in the end, everything would be worth it because they would have each other forever. Ricardo and Natalia's wedding day arrived, and with it, a wave of excitement and joy that flooded everyone who was present. The ceremony was held in a picturesque wildflower garden, the location they had both chosen for its simplicity and natural beauty. The atmosphere was perfect. The gentle breeze and warm afternoon sun seemed to bless the union of two people who, in everyone's eyes, were destined to be together. Both Ricardo and Natalia were nervous, but their nerves did not come from doubt, but from the excitement of knowing that they were about to begin a new stage in their lives. The guests arrived dressed in their finery, smiling and expectant, and everyone talked about the love story that had led them to this moment. From the beginning of the relationship, Ricardo's family and friends had noticed how in love he was and how happy Natalia made him. Not only had she won Ricardo's heart, but also that of his family and loved ones, who accepted her as one of their own. For Natalia, this meant a lot, as she had always wanted to be part of a loving and welcoming family. In the middle of the ceremony, Ricardo couldn't help but think of all the beautiful moments he had shared with Natalia. She was the person who had helped him find a new perspective on life, and for her he was willing to build a future together. From the beginning of their relationship, Natalia had made it clear that, for her, true love and respect were fundamental in a couple. One of the things she explained to Ricardo was that she wanted to remain a virgin until marriage, something he respected without question. Ricardo valued her integrity and the trust they had between them, so he accepted her decision with understanding and without pressure. This detail, although strange to some, was interpreted by Ricardo as a sign of purity and respect towards their relationship. However, behind that decision, Natalia was hiding a secret. From a very young age, she had known she was different and had had to face difficult decisions. After many years of internal struggle and personal acceptance, Natalia had finally found peace with herself, but she did not feel ready to share that part of her life with others, not even with Ricardo. Her identity was a subject she had learned to handle in silence, and although she knew that at some point she would have to face it, she feared the rejection and the consequences it could bring. During the wedding preparations, Natalia had been afraid that someone from her past would appear or that, somehow, her secret would come to light. Fortunately, everything went as she had planned, and the wedding went off without a hitch. Natalia's family, although they did not know the truth, was excited to see her so happy and in love. No one suspected that behind the bride's radiant smile was a secret that she did not know how to reveal. Her plan was to live in the present and enjoy every moment with Ricardo, believing that in time she would be able to find a way to share her truth without losing her husband's love and respect. The ceremony was beautiful and emotional. The vows they exchanged reflected the genuine love and deep connection that united them. Ricardo promised Natalia to love and respect her forever, to take care of her and be her partner in every step of life. She, for her part, expressed her gratitude for having found someone who accepted her and made her feel safe, wishing to build a life together based on honesty and loyalty. Those words resonated in the hearts of everyone present, who could not help but be moved by the devotion they both showed for each other. After the ceremony, the celebration continued with a reception where friends and family toasted the couple's happiness. There was music, dancing, and moments filled with laughter and joy. Ricardo and Natalia danced under the stars, sharing glances and smiles that showed how much they loved each other. In everyone's eyes, they were the ideal couple, a perfect union that represented true love. During the reception, Natalia felt a deep relief. She had managed to get to the altar and marry the man she loved without her secret coming to light. With each passing minute, her confidence grew, believing that her love could be stronger than any obstacle. In her mind, marriage was an important step, and she was convinced that, with time, she would be able to open up to Ricardo without fear of rejection. Although the idea caused her anxiety, Natalia trusted that her husband loved her enough to accept her as she was, even if he discovered the truth that she kept hidden. Ricardo, for his part, was excited about the life that awaited him with his wife. The honeymoon was the next step, an opportunity to begin their married life in a paradise destination that they had both chosen together. Ricardo had been saving for months so that they could enjoy an unforgettable vacation, away from work and everyday worries. He wanted it to be a special moment, an experience that they would always remember and that would mark the beginning of their life together. That night, when they said goodbye to their loved ones and headed to the hotel where they would spend their first night as husband and wife, Ricardo felt like he was living a dream. In his mind, everything had gone perfectly, and he was convinced that Natalia was the woman he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. Even though their relationship had progressed without the physical intimacy that others might consider essential, Ricardo never doubted the love that Natalia felt for him or the authenticity of their commitment. She was the person who had given him a new reason to live, and he was determined to make her happy at every moment. Natalia, although excited, also felt a knot in her stomach. She knew that the wedding night was a tradition for many couples and that Ricardo could expect to consummate his marriage that night. However, she explained to him that, after the excitement of the day, she preferred to wait for their honeymoon to share that intimate moment. Ricardo, always understanding, accepted her decision without asking questions. For him, simply having Natalia by his side was enough. The following days were filled with excitement and preparations for the honeymoon. Ricardo and Natalia packed their bags and set off for a tropical destination, a dream place where crystal-clear waters and white sand beaches would be the perfect setting to begin their life together. They were both excited and eager to share that time as a couple, away from everything and everyone, where they could relax and enjoy their love without any interruptions. Throughout the trip, Natalia tried hard to enjoy the moment and not think about the consequences that their secret could bring. She knew she couldn't avoid him forever, but she wanted to take advantage of every second with Ricardo, as if it were her last. Her love for him was genuine, and although she feared his reaction, she trusted that time and the strength of their relationship would allow them to overcome any obstacle. Ricardo, for his part, was so in love that he didn't perceive any sign that something could be wrong. In his mind, happiness was absolute, and he was convinced that his relationship with Natalia was solid and sincere. The emotional connection they had built was so strong that, for him, any secret or problem would be overcome with love and understanding. Ricardo and Natalia arrived at their paradise destination with the excitement and enthusiasm of a newly married couple. Everything about that place invited them to enjoy the beauty of nature and the calm of the crystal-clear waters. Their hotel was on a secluded beach, surrounded by palm trees and with a spectacular view of the ocean, a perfect setting for the honeymoon they had both dreamed of. For Ricardo, this trip symbolized the beginning of a life full of love, and he couldn't be happier. Natalia, although she also shared the excitement, had deep down a mix of nerves and anxiety. She knew that the moment to reveal her truth was near, and she feared her husband's reaction. During the first few days, they both dedicated themselves to enjoying every corner of that paradise. They walked along the beach at sunset, swam in the calm waters and enjoyed romantic dinners under the stars. Ricardo was convinced that he was living the happiest moment of his life. At his side was the woman he loved, and every moment together reinforced his desire to spend the rest of his life with her. On the other hand, Natalia felt that every second was a gift, an opportunity to enjoy Ricardo's love before facing the harsh reality. At times, she managed to forget her fears and immerse herself in the happiness of those honeymoon days, but as night fell, her anxiety returned. She knew that Ricardo expected them to consummate their marriage, and although she had managed to postpone the moment, she was aware that she could not avoid it forever. Finally, one night, after a particularly romantic dinner, Ricardo took the initiative to propose an intimate moment. The room was lit only by the dim light of a lamp, and the atmosphere was perfect for what they had both hoped for. Ricardo, with a look full of love and desire, approached Natalia and hugged her, kissing her tenderly. In her mind, this was the culminating moment of their love, the total surrender that they had both desired. Natalia, although nervous, tried to reciprocate her husband's wishes. Her love for him was genuine, and she wanted to do everything she could to make him happy. However, her fear began to gain ground, and her hands trembled as Ricardo caressed her. Despite her efforts to remain calm, the reality was that her secret was about to come out, and there was no way to stop it. As the night progressed, Ricardo, eager to consummate his love, noticed that something was not right. Natalia seemed distant, uncomfortable, and her expression revealed a mix of fear and sadness. Noticing this, Ricardo stopped and asked her if she was okay. Natalia, her voice breaking, tried to reassure him, but he sensed that something was not right. Natalia's nerves were evident, and Ricardo could not help but wonder what was going on. It was at that moment, when they were finally faced with intimacy, that Ricardo realized the truth. Amidst confusion and surprise, he pulled away from Natalia, staring in disbelief at what he had just discovered. His mind clouded over, and a feeling of betrayal and rage took over him. Ricardo couldn't believe what he was seeing, and the words began to come out of his mouth in a whisper, full of disbelief and frustration. Natalia, terrified, tried to explain herself. She told him that she loved him, that she had not wanted to deceive him, and that she was afraid of losing him if she told him the truth. She confessed that, from the beginning of their relationship, she had feared that her secret would destroy what they had, but that her love for him was so deep that she had decided to hide it, hoping that he would understand and forgive her one day. However, Ricardo was beside himself. The mixture of surprise, rage, and disappointment clouded his judgment. In his mind, Natalia had not only destroyed his trust, but had also destroyed the image of the life he had dreamed of. He felt betrayed, humiliated, and could not control the anger that consumed him. Natalia's words, far from calming him, seemed to increase his fury. For him, the love he felt was transformed into indescribable pain, and his reaction was impulsive and violent. In an act of desperation and out of control, Ricardo attacked Natalia. Amidst screams and cries, the man she loved became her worst nightmare. Even though she tried to fight back, Ricardo's strength was superior, and she soon found herself trapped with no escape. The moments that followed were a mix of violence and anguish, and in a matter of minutes, the outcome of their love turned into a tragedy. As Ricardo's fury began to dissipate, he realized what he had done. Before him, Natalia's body lay lifeless, and the reality of his act began to hit him hard. The anger that had consumed him transformed into a feeling of emptiness and horror, and the weight of his actions fell on him like a slab. In that instant, all the love, happiness, and dreams they once shared vanished, leaving only pain and regret. Ricardo, now in a state of shock, could not understand how he had gotten to that point. His hands trembled as he looked around, trying to come to terms with what he had done. Memories of Natalia, her smiles, her hugs, and every moment they shared passed through his mind like a whirlwind, and the pain he felt was indescribable. In a matter of seconds, he had destroyed the life he had so longed for, and now he was alone, plunged into deep despair. The police were alerted by the noises coming from the room, and within minutes, officers arrived at the scene. Ricardo, still in a state of shock, did not resist. He was arrested without saying a word, and as he was led away by the officers, his mind kept reliving the horror of that night. For him, life had lost all meaning, and the weight of guilt and regret consumed him completely. When the news broke, friends and family of both were devastated. No one could understand how a relationship so full of love and promise had ended so tragically. The story of Ricardo and Natalia, once a symbol of true love, turned into a tragedy that left an indelible mark on the lives of everyone who knew them. In the days that followed, Ricardo was tried and sentenced for the crime. He spent his days in prison, reliving over and over again the night that changed his life forever. Despite the attempts of his friends and family to understand what happened, no one could find answers. The tragedy of Ricardo and Natalia left a bitter lesson about love, deception, and the consequences of the decisions we make.